Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
There's no book like this on the market in St. Louis.
People are really looking to do this wonderful thing that we call art again.
Some of the very best and brightest live in St. Louis, Missouri, and are doing their research here.
Today on Spotlight, a massive collection of artifacts and artwork on display to celebrate the World Chess Hall of Fame. Plus, how President Biden's program is helping startup companies grow in the St. Louis cancer research space. And then it's a liquor expedition that ends with a bottle of bourbon. We'll explain. But first, how St. Louis theater survived the pandemic and what they learned in the process. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
The St. Louis theater scene is known for being a vibrant part of the community. Packed audiences at venues big and small, coming out to hear grand soliloquies or experience show-stopping musical numbers. Or at least it was, until the spring of 2020.
We were actually in the middle of rehearsing for Annie, and we had to shut down halfway through March. We were opening up in April. And we thought at the time, okay, we'll be able to be back by December. You know, things are going to work out fine. It has a Christmas kind of scene in the show, so it would be nice to do it in December. Well, that didn't happen.
You know, I think there are moments you want to make history, and then there are moments you wish you weren't making history. And having to postpone that 2020 season to the next year was a difficult choice in the sense that it hurt to do that. There were people whose jobs depend on us producing the shows, or people who depend on coming here on the tradition there. And that was the hard part. The easy part was it was the absolute right thing to do for health and public safety. At that point, it was like, we're pretty sure it's the right thing. In hindsight, we see that it clearly was.
But just because the performances came to a halt didn't mean all that creativity stopped as well.
About 3 weeks after this all happened, I went to our associate artistic director, Justin, and I said to him, I will go crazy if I don't continue to create during this time. And I cannot do Zoom. I don't feel like that's a really efficient way to get things done with all the stopping and starting on the computer. So I said, we need to come up with something. Then what we decided to do during the pandemic was to do some small things that could be done safely. We created these actor booths, which are like small little booths with microphones in them. We also did our yearly fundraising soiree inside those booths, inviting people in and basically filming it and putting it together as a filmed project as opposed to live stage.
And even when things started to open up, the theater community had to stay pretty flexible and ready to make adjustments down to the last minute.
Things were changing up until what they call, I guess, the proverbial 11th hour. When we went into 2021, we budgeted for multiple scenarios. We planned for multiple scenarios. The year before gave us the opportunity to learn that COVID moves fast, but it also changes quickly. And so I don't want to say that we were ready, because no one's ever ready for all of this. You make it 104 years planning for anything and everything. So do we have a plan to shut down? No, not necessarily, but we have a plan in place to tell us when it's the right choice.
It's been a time like you would never ever expect. And the main thing I realized through the whole thing is just how gross artists are. Dancers, when they dance, they sweat, they have to touch each other. Singers have to sing, they spit. Even actors, you know, if you're talking and projecting well, you're spitting. If you're a musician, you're playing through an instrument, you got lots of spit going on. We are kind of gross. And we're very intimate with each other on stage. And it was a very eye-opening of how intimate we really are when you're creating art.
We put in a number of mitigation steps and efforts across the board. We had testing, we had masking protocols, so those things help. But you know, the number one reason why we were able to produce those 5 shows is because everyone bought in. Everyone bought in with science, everyone bought into the greater good that we need to look out for the person next to us, take safety first, make a few sacrifices on what we normally want to do or our normal comfort, so that we could do what we all love, and that's create theater and bring the community together.
What we do is unique, and it does unfortunately take us to be there with you in time and space. That's the reason I think that the arts exist, because there's very few things anymore where people in the audience, their energy is working with our energy on stage and making something alive and dynamic happen.
The plan is to go full capacity, full season, 7 shows.
We have had the most subscribers re-sign up for this year than we have had in the past, which means people are really looking to get involved and to get out and to do this wonderful thing that we call art again.
You know, it's great when you hear the stories of people wanting to be back and celebrating here and feeling joy of coming back. The letters we got the season that we weren't able to produce, of encouragement, of love for this place, of what this place has meant for people in their families and their tradition, those are the things that make us come back and make sure that we're ready to produce again. So if there's anything that hasn't been said that needs to be said, it's thank you. It's thank you to the community. It's thank you for people reminding us that this matters to them. It's more than a place where they just go see a show. It's more than just a job for us, and being able to see that to fulfillment this coming summer is something we're definitely looking forward to.
Celebrate the best in locally produced professional theater. Stream the 2022 St. Louis Theater Circle Awards ceremony on Monday, March 28th at 7 p.m. exclusively on hecmedia.org, HEC Media's Facebook page, and HEC Media's YouTube channel.
We're at the World Chess Hall of Fame at our newest exhibition, Mind Art Experience, celebrating 10 years of chess and culture in St. Louis. And to commemorate that celebration, we decided to pick pieces from all 50 shows that we have done in the last 10 years.
It contains artifacts and artwork from each of the 50 exhibitions that we've presented over time. And we are doing this to show the diversity of chess and how it interacts with popular culture, art, and history.
We picked some of our most favorite pieces, and we picked everything from high art pieces to great chess artifacts to show that chess is everywhere. We broke up this exhibition into 3 sections: Mind, Art, and Experience. And in our first floor gallery, Mind, we tried to pick objects and artifacts together that kind of really stimulate your brain. We have great works by local artists, works by amazing collectors, and we have this really brilliant piece from Lilia Lafanova. This piece was featured in our very first exhibition here, and it's called Anatomy is Destiny. This piece not only is a great interactive work, but we have a video of when we performed this piece 10 years ago.
This is our second floor gallery, which we've titled Art, and it contains artwork from centuries ago and the present day. It has everything from pieces by internationally renowned artists like Yoko Ono, Marcel Dzama, and Rachel Whiteread, to wonderful St. Louis talent like Ido Rosenblith and Peter Mannion. We also have wonderful pieces from renowned chess set collectors in this floor. Some of them are hundreds of years old, and many are made from precious materials.
And on our third floor, we have our experience section, where all of the pieces have some kind of element that you can work through or experience yourself. The World Chess Hall of Fame moved to St. Louis from Miami, Florida in 2011. The reason why it moved is because chess was booming in St. Louis due to the founding of the St. Louis Chess Club in 2008. Since then, we have welcomed over 120,000 visitors to our space, and we are so excited to show chess as it relates not only to chess history, but to arts and culture.
We decided to look back at our past, pulling artifacts, things that people might have seen before, but also adding some new works as we look to our future as an institution here in St. Louis. We decided to show pieces as diverse as a silver set belonging to an early American chess champion, as well as artistic works to show the diversity of chess culture. We also have a companion book for the exhibition, which contains images from all 50 of our past shows. You can learn more about our history and our mission in the book. Mind Art Experience is on view through July 17th at the World Chess Hall of Fame.
And for more information, you can visit our website at www.worldchesshof.org.
Scan the QR code on your screen to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
And we hit start.
Cancer is such a terrible problem, scientifically, medically, diverse problem. Cancer's not one disease, it's many things. And it's going to take a lot of tools to overcome that.
Some of those tools are being developed by startup companies sharing space in the biogenerator labs at the BioSTL building in St. Louis.
So all that takes a lot of money. And to win this battle is going to take big dollars.
Biogenerator Ventures is helping to launch companies in the cancer research space. This gives startups a real shot at getting ideas from bench to market in the battle against all types of cancer. Biogenerator is the startup creation and investment arm of the local innovation hub, BioSTL.
Some have raised hundreds of millions of dollars. You read about Woojin and Arch Oncology and Immunophotonics. These are companies that are progressing their potential therapies in patients today.
Recently, President Joe Biden announced he would renew the U.S. Beau Biden Cancer Moonshot Initiative, a $1.8 billion cancer research program with a target of decreasing cancer deaths by at least 50% in the next 25 years. As Biogenerator's Senior Vice President Charlie Bolton believes, St. Louis will play a growing role.
The Moonshot is putting dollars into the top of the funnel. That starts with the basic research that kicks out these ideas. And unquestionably, Washington University is on the map. It's a top 5 medical teaching hospital in the world. Some of the very best and brightest scientists thinking about cancer research live in St. Louis, Missouri, and are doing their research here. That's where the ideas come from. And then they spin out into what we do. So we start companies based on promising ideas. If you just say, what are we working on in St. Louis? It's pretty much everything. A lot of the companies today are working on trying to shift the balance of power back to the natural system to destroy the cancer versus kind of the poisons of the early days of cancer therapies.
In Biogenerator's portfolio, the startup company Woojin is developing new immunotherapies targeting different types of leukemia and other solid tumor cancers. Immunotherapy uses a patient's immune system to fight cancer. One of Woojin's cellular therapies is focused on natural killer cells, which is one of the body's natural defenses against cancer. With Woojin's memory natural killer cell technology, a patient is treated with enhanced natural killer cells to find and destroy cancer cells that have learned to hide from the patient's immune system.
One question we get a lot is, why are you building a company in St. Louis as compared to Boston or San Francisco? The answer is really there's so much scientific talent that's in St. Louis coming from WashU or SLU or many of the other universities here. And that talent, unfortunately, leaves after they leave WashU. They go to the coasts. And so what we're really doing here with the assistance and support of BioSTL is building a company in St. Louis that can stay in St. Louis and keep the science and technology here. And really what we're hoping is that with state support and with federal support, Missouri and St. Louis can really become a hub of biotech innovation.
The research for Woojin started in a Washington University School of Medicine laboratory. Now, Woojin has more than 50 employees working in the Biogenerator lab space. The research for this company, called Genoscopy, also started at WashU. Genoscopy is trying to help people win the battle against colon cancer by offering a new, non-invasive screening tool to identify disease early. Genoscopy raised $105 million in 2021. Bolton says there's a growing number of startup companies dedicated to cancer treatment and prevention in St. Louis. BioSTL started taking steps years ago to put St. Louis on the map as a hub for life sciences, and this includes startups in the cancer research space.
It starts with the BioSTL story. So Dr. Danforth visited Boston and saw how the presence of a world-class university could transform, a city and create an economy in a city, and embarked on this journey to create that in St. Louis.
With President Biden's cancer moonshot, Bolton expects the influx of federal dollars will help cancer-related startup companies expand and grow, making the startups more attractive for venture capital firms to invest.
And so the moonshot is putting more resources into the whole system. And part of that is going to go into companies. That's still being worked through, the details of how much that's going to go, for example, from the NIH into funding into startups. But the expectation is a combination of both. And so more dollars going into research means more dollars going into our companies, and more companies in St. Louis working to try and solve this in so many different ways.
Celebrating St. Patrick's Day with Celtic music later on Spotlight. They didn't know if they would accomplish what they wanted, but they knew they had to try.
Suffrage simply means the right to vote. And so until 1920, women were in Missouri denied the right to vote in any election.
Suffrage was a national movement, but many historic moments happened right here in St. Louis.
Virginia Minor is one of the women that every person in the United States should know her name, but they don't. But Virginia Minor essentially kicked off the suffrage movement in the entire country.
Honoring Virginia Minor and the bravery of other women in our city by telling their stories was the motivation behind the Missouri History Museum's exhibit, Beyond the Ballot, St. Louis and Suffrage.
Even without the vote, women were impacting St. Louis and really making a change in the city and really impacting the city.
This 6,000 square foot special exhibit shows that St. Louis women led the way to victory.
Every woman's story is important. Our vote is important. These women spent over 50 years fighting to give us the right to vote, and we really need to use that right that they got for us.
Exhibit manager Katie Moon sat down with HEC Media host Brenda Madden to discuss her companion book to the exhibit, Groundbreakers, Rule Breakers, and Rebels, 50 Unstoppable St. Louis Women.
There's no book like this on the market in St. Louis.
You start with Marie Ruenza, who was actually Native American.
She was, yeah. She was a really interesting character. She was a young woman and actually was converted to Catholicism and was convinced that God was calling her to a life of service in the church. And her father came and said, "You're going to marry this French trapper." And he had a bad reputation, but it was more of a business deal. You know, she thought about it, prayed about it, and ended up marrying this man. It was a power move. It really was. And, that Native American and French connection was really what was foundational for St. Louis's early economy. And she helped create that.
At her death, she was so widely regarded as a leader in her community and made an impact throughout her life.
You know, she wasn't on the sidelines, or just letting life happen to her. She very much took an active role, and made a deliberate decision based on the facts at hand. That's a great way to start a book of women who do that consistently. Most of them have horrible things happen to them, and yet they're resilient and they make the most of it and don't let life kind of take over.
One of the other women in there that I did not realize had a St. Louis connection was Elizabeth Keckley.
She's one of those amazing people that, came to St. Louis not of free will, and was owned by a family. And the husband was a horrible businessman. And so she got sent out to work as a seamstress and supported that family of 17 for several years, and then ended up earning enough money to buy her own freedom as well as for her son, and networked and had these political connections, which took her to Washington, D.C., where she became Mary Todd Lincoln's dressmaker. She created that life in St. Louis and had benefactors who helped her with money. And it's another incredible story of someone born enslaved who created this amazing life for herself.
Go to hecmedia.org to watch the full interview and hear more stories of other amazing St. Louis women throughout history. See Beyond the Ballot on display through June 2022. Visit mohistory.org for more info.
So the first one I have here is our Volstead's Folly Gin.
Jaime Blum's recent visit to Still 630 in St. Louis
I like him.
marked her 30th spirits tasting.
So right here I'm pouring our Missouri bourbon for you.
She recently completed a tour of 29 craft distilleries across Missouri, including Still 630, tasting all kinds of liquor along the way.
This one is like, is that 81 proof?
This is 81 and this is 100.
Well, this is a strong already, 81.
We call it
yeah.
evil because it's 100.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like it.
So it might be surprising to learn.
Oh, this one's strong.
that Jaime doesn't particularly care for hard alcohol.
I don't really drink vodka or whiskey.
In fact, she didn't really set out to go on that tour of craft distilleries. She'd planned on visiting a winery.
That's how I found it was coincidence. The winery was closed. Let's go to the distillery. And they show us the map. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this.
The map was for the Missouri Spirits Expedition, an adventure in the spirit of the Lewis and Clark expedition that challenges you to discover craft distilleries all around the Show Me State.
Everybody's done a trail, and other states are doing trails and stuff. It's all played out. A trail has a beginning and an end. An expedition is something that you kind of weave and determine on your own. And that was perfect for the Missouri Spirits Expedition, right? What we're trying to do is showcase the entire state and all the different distilleries that are out there.
If you go to Kentucky and you take the Bourbon Trail, they're all making bourbon, and most of the processes are pretty much the same. So you don't get to see a whole lot of different things. But on the expedition, you do. Some people make bourbon, but there's apple brandy, and there's distillery that makes eau de vie, and then there's us, and we have malt whiskey, Irish style, you know, with the pot still. And there's just all these different expressions of spirits around the state. So it's kind of neat to be able to introduce people to all the possibilities at the same time.
The sizes and stories of the distilleries on the expedition vary as well. You can go from the larger operations like Restless Spirits in Kansas City to rural parts of the state, including Loman, Missouri, just outside Jefferson City, where you'll find the family-run blacksmith distillery in an old 1950s milk barn.
The corn whiskey is the recipe that my family made back before Prohibition.
It seems like they care for what they do, they love what they do, and they want to share that, and that's just amazing. Seeing someone with that passion for something, it's amazing.
Now you know why someone who doesn't really drink liquor became obsessed with visiting every distillery on the expedition map.
For me, it's not about let's go and have drinks in all these 30 places. It's let's go and meet these towns and then see how people do things. And once you go to the first 2 or 3, you're like, oh, but they're different. Oh, I wonder how these people made their own stuff. You know, you go for the distillery, but then you get to experience what's around. There's really small towns that I will never even think of going, that I'm like, I will never see this if it wouldn't be for this. Plus, I learned a lot.
These here are our pot stills. They were handmade here in Missouri to my specifications.
All of that it was new for me, and I got to learn all of that. It was very rewarding.
Inside this barrel is another perk for those on the expedition. Distillers from across the state added their Missouri bourbon to it back in 2019 when the tour began. A bottle from it is waiting for those who complete the expedition.
You can't get this bottle without earning it by completing the expedition. None of the other trails out there have anything that is even remotely close. I think a t-shirt's like the best thing that you can get somewhere else.
Jaime earned her bottle.
Have you tried it? I haven't because I don't want to open it. I'm waiting for one of my friends to finish so I can try hers.
This is our little barrel aging room.
While she was revisiting Still 630, she figured out a better plan.
I want to do it again because it's so much fun.
Will she take a celebratory drink from the next expedition bottle she earns?
Ready to take off on your next expedition? Let me give you your first stamp here.
For Jaime, that's not the reward she's looking forward to most.
All of these people are really nice, and they're family-owned businesses, and then you get to know, and they're very, I don't know how to explain it, it feels like family. That's how I felt.
You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight.
Come, bonny lass, lie near me, let the brandy cheer ye. From the road from Fife to Falkirk's lang and cold and wet and weary. My trade it is the weaving at the bonny town of leaving, and we'll drink to the health of the farmers' dames. We'll buy my cloth from all. You can see them on the lads of the fair, Oh, the fourth and the Karen water. Working lads and lads we hear, that's what sell you the provost daughter. Soldiers back to the German wars, peddlers up there the border. Lassies we a knife and beer and the kite, the Tristan fair at Falkirk. Ah, Geordie leaned the pony, for the path is steep and stony, and we're 3 long weeks for the Isle of Skye, and the beasts are thin and bony. Take the last o' the siller, and we'll buy ourselves a gill or two, and we'll drink to the lads full by the Kye, in Falkirk town the morn. You can see them on the lads of the fair, lads of the Forth and the Karen water, working lads and lads we hear. What sell you the provost daughter? Soldiers back to the German wars, peddlers up there the border. Lassies me a knife and beer and the kite, the Tristan fair at Falkirk. I stand here and I'll show you, for there's the tune below you, that you'd best bide here in the barn the night for the night watch to nae know you. My brother, he's a ploughman, and I'm for being now man, and we'll drink to the price of the harvest corn in Falkirk town the morn. You can see them all, the lads of the fair, lads of the Forth and the Karen water, working lads and lads we hear. What sell you the provost daughter? Soldiers back in the German wars, peddlers up there the border. Lassies we a knife and beer and the kite, the Tristan fair at Falkirk. Ah, the work of the weaver's over, likewise the day of the drover, and the plough boy sits on a tractor now, too high to see the clover. And the working's no so steady, but the lads are all still ready to drink the good health of the working man in Falkirk town the morn. You can see them all, the lads of the fair, oh, the Forth and the Karen water, working lads and lads we hear. What sell you the provost daughter? Soldiers back to the German wars, peddlers up there the border. Lassies we a knife and beer and the kite, the Tristan fair at Falkirk. You can see them all, the lads of the fair, oh, the Forth and the Karen water, working lads and lads we hear. What sell you the provost daughter? Soldiers back to the German wars, peddlers up there the border. Lassies we a knife and beer and the kite, at the Tristan fair at Falkirk.
Next week, honoring the best in local theater with the Theater Circle Awards. Plus, how nature heals and the wonders you can find in the forest. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.